Nearly 2,000 people are killed and 600,000 injured every year in rear-end car collisions. Experts say many of those injuries could be prevented if the federal standards for automobile seats were strengthened so the seats did not collapse when hit from behind. Records uncovered by News 2 Chicago show even some engineers working for a major automaker warned about the risky auto seats decades ago. Pam Zekman's here with a special report. Pam?
Lester and Linda, the automakers say their seats are designed to yield, to absorb the energy of a collision and reduce injuries. But critics say the seats actually collapse. They say what's needed are strengthened seats that still yield but protect drivers from devastating spinal cord injuries, brain damage, or worse. It's happened in seconds. On a Chicago expressway, a car is struck from behind. The front seat collapsed. 5 people killed. An Explorer rear-ended in Hammond. The seat frame cracked. The driver's paralyzed. And in a red light in California, another rear-end collision, another life changed forever.
Good, Lois. Come on up again.
Lois Aguilar sued General Motors, charging that the defective seat in her car led to her paralysis.
That could be any accident in this country. And most people would expect to walk away from that. Because of her seat back, she's now quadriplegic.
Here's the problem. Your seat belts protect you from hitting the dash or flying through the windshield in a front-end collision. But your seat backs are your main protection if you're hit from behind. And experts say the standard for seat back strength set by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration are totally inadequate. So inadequate, NHTSA crash tests begun in the 70s to test fuel tank integrity revealed an unexpected other danger. The front seats of all kinds of cars collapsed in 30-mile-an-hour mock collisions. And NHTSA records show that thousands of car owners have complained about seat backs that collapsed in real crashes. Evidence that NHTSA should have strengthened the standard decades ago, says the head of Ralph Nader's Public Citizen, who once directed the agency.
The agency was truly negligent because while it isn't the largest source of death or injury in car crashes, it is very catastrophic when it occurs.
Catastrophic because when seats collapse, you lose control of the steering wheel.
You no longer can control your vehicle, nor can you see.
He says that's what happened in this accident on the Dan Ryan Expressway, and the car ran up the barrier, caught fire, and killed 5 people. The collapsed front seat trapped passengers in the back.
They could not get them out, and they burned to death.
General Motors settled the case for an undisclosed amount. Another problem, the impact of the crash can propel your body backward.
The shoulder harness is useless. You can slide out from beneath the lap belt and what they call ramping.
As shown in this recreation of Lois Aguilar's accident. An expert says Aguilar's seat collapsed because of a defective recliner mechanism.
Those teeth sheared or separated and rode over one another.
Aguilar's attorney says General Motors changed the recliner in 1995 and settled Aguilar's case for an undisclosed amount. Now her attorney has filed a class action lawsuit to get the recliner corrected in 90 to 94 Saturns, citing more than 7,000 complaints of failures reported to General Motors. He says GM engineering reports and tapes of crash tests show the company knew the seats collapsed.
Crash tests at 30 miles per hour, and in every one of them, the seat backs broke.
And the problem's not just with the Saturn. In this case and others, General Motors argues the seats don't collapse, they yield as they're designed to do, to absorb the energy of a crash and reduce the risk of injury. But the victim of this crash won a $7 million jury verdict after his attorney argued that this 1968 memo on energy-absorbing seats undercut that defense. In the memo, a GM engineer says a potential hazard can exist of a spinal cord injury when the occupant's head hits the rear seat cushion.
This was an in-house good engineer, and to have nothing done about it is appalling.
In other courtrooms, other memos marked confidential have emerged. In them, GM engineers report survival is largely dependent on front seats that maintain passengers upright. They warn about seat problems we must correct. predict that with stronger seats, half the serious to fatal injuries may be prevented, and estimate the costs would be low.
By their own documents, you're talking $1.50 to maybe $4 a seat back.
I think it's inexcusable. A few dollars to correct something that would leave someone paralyzed or worse.
10 years ago, Ken Sachalski petitioned NHTSA to make its seatback standard 15 times stronger.
I think that they're letting us down by not taking a more aggressive stand against the industry.
But a NHTSA spokesman says the proposal is still being studied because it's a complicated issue.
The thing that's really so outrageous about this is it's unnecessary. This is not rocket science. It's fully available science.
A science available in the Mercedes 500 SL with its seatbelt integrated into a strengthened seat, in General Motors Buick Park Avenue and Chrysler's Sebring convertible. As for other models,
When you get to the majority of the vehicles on the road, they will exceed the standard because it's so low, but they're not safe.
a spokesman for General Motors declined to comment on the memos or any other details of our report. The spokesman would only say generally, and this is a quote, "Our seats are good seats that meet or exceed all applicable federal motor safety standards." Lester and Linda?
All right, Pam, thanks.